so we're going to go. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Town of Lloyd regular board meeting for March 20th, 2024. And we'll kick off, and I will ask the Boy Scouts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, good night. We get a nice crowd and good people with all the Boy Scouts, so thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. So the reason they're all here is, well, they come to learn about how the government works, local government works, but the real reason they're all here is Basil Metz was reached the Eagle Scout award level, and he got his Eagle Scout award, and I got to say it's quite impressive. So on March 2nd, he had his Court of Honor, and I had the honor of attending that, and I got to tell you, I was impressed. I was impressed really a couple facets. One was the ceremony itself and witnessing, I guess, the presence of the scouting community. And I realized more so than I had thought about it before, is how and what an important role they play in our community. So I was able to witness really firsthand the impact that the scouting community has and how much they give back to our communities, at the same time helping to shape the lives of young residents. So to me, that was just impressive. And, and as a community leader myself, and I'm sure the rest of the board would also say, I personally want to thank Troop 70 for the positive impact they've had on our town, and especially thank the volunteers who spend countless hours doing that. So we appreciate it. Now on to Basil. First of all, it was a pleasure getting to know Basil a bit that day, and his family, who I know supports him. So I was, throughout this whole achievement. And Basil achieved this award by taking on a service project to build a playground at his church, St. Gregory's Greek Orthodox Church in Wappinger Falls. I was able to see the project when I was there, and I could say that it was quite impressive. And I hope the children who use the playground enjoy it for years to come. More impressive than the project itself, I was personally impressed by Basil. Seeing a young man who's a junior in high school display such leadership qualities and the ability to speak so fluently about his journey, and really specifically, one of the traits of a good leader is he was able to recognize others who helped him get there. So I thought, to me, that was important, and others who helped him throughout his whole scouting career. So to me, that was great to witness. So I personally hope that other young people can learn from his experience, can see what he's done, and hopefully they'll be inspired to tackle similar projects and problems they encountered. So I'm honored to present Basil with an Outstanding Citizenship Award from the Town of Lloyd. And thank you for what you've done and continued success in the future. And I know right after me, I know Gina Hansen also is going to step up and say something, but I'd like to present you with this right now. So again, it's an Outstanding Citizenship Award for Basil Metz for his achievement at Eagle Scout.
Very nice.
There's nothing else that I can add that hasn't already been said about you, but first of all, congratulations. You are an esteemed company with this award. One of the most things that I look forward to as a legislator is that we get to do this. And I wasn't able to get to the ceremony, but I'm happy to do this here. And thank you for showing what good citizenship is. So on behalf of the Ulster County Legislature, I I have a Pride of Ulster County Award presented by the Ulster County Legislature to Basil Metz, the Boy Scout of America Troop Number 70, Kingston, New York, in recognition and honor of achieving Boy Scouts of America's highest honor, Eagle Scout. March 2024, signed Peter Criswell, Chair of the Ulster County Legislature.
Again, thank you, and you're welcome to stay if you want, but we won't. We know if you got things to do, it's fine. But again, appreciate it, appreciate the achievement. I know it's significant, and we're glad we were able to honor you here. I don't know if any other board members have anything to say. Oh, okay. If not, we'll move through the agenda, and we're going to move one up, Resolution D, which Jim Janso asked us. And I'm going to move it up for two reasons. One, we like to do these up front. And secondly, Henry showed up about 6:30 and had a great, so he's been here for a little while now. So Resolution D is to hire Henry Norris as a part-time dispatcher at a rate of $19.82 per hour with a start date of March 21st, 2024 at the recommendation of Chief James Janso. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Chief?
He will be our new part-time dispatcher. I believe he's military, so he served our country, and I'm looking for him to serve our community. So welcome aboard.
All right, welcome. Okay, thank you. At least he's not as tall as Phil, Jim.
It's cropped out all the time, I notice.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you again. We're going to move now through the agenda. Public hearing, local law D. I don't think we closed it last month, so since it's still open, I'll ask if anybody's here to speak on public hearing, on the public hearing for local law D, which was the update of the short-term transient rental law. Okay. If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to close public hearing for local law D.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, so the public hearing is officially closed, and we'll get to the resolution to adopt later in the meeting. Okay, next on the agenda is open a public hearing for local law A of 2024, which is to amend the zoning map to rezone the property at 111 Weeds Mill Road, Highland, New York, from property owner Anthony Prizia Sr. And I think we showed the maps. This is to make a piece of it GB, I believe. GB, yeah, on the corner of, well, it's right on Weeds Mill Road on corner 299. Is there anybody here for the public hearing on local law A? Okay, so we'll leave the public hearing open, and if anybody happens to pop in during a meeting, we'll go for there. We're going to move forward to town board liaisons reports. We'll start with Tiffany. We'll let you do both of yours, so we'll since you're at the top here with beautification committee first.
All right, so our shed has
Just
been.
move this like down a little bit closer to you so they can hear it on TV land.
My kids are watching.
Thanks.
Our shed has been delivered and it's down at the town field. The spring flags have been put up and we finalized our scarecrow event with October 5th as the date and a rain date of October 6th. We're discussing possible locations, but we are hoping that the new pavilion down at the town field will be available on that date. And that's really it for beautification.
Okay.
On to school board. There's a lot of stuff happening at the school. So the school district has released their budget proposal, and it appears that the Board of Ed has had to make multiple tough decisions in order to balance the budget. They're looking at around 20 budgetary cuts to staff, administration, supplies, and teachers. It's the hope that the school district, it's the hope of the school district that the governor will still restore that financial aid and minimize these cuts, and they're still asking for the community to send letters up to Albany and get their voices heard. That link is on the district's page, so we're really just asking everybody to send letters up to Albany.
Okay.
Last night, unfortunately, at the middle school, they experienced a kitchen fire just a little before 3 a.m. A statement has been released, and it appears to be due to electrical and was contained to the cafeteria snack room. The district is waiting for the insurance adjusters before they begin cleanup, and the middle schoolers will continue remote learning until further notice. And on a more positive note, the elementary school has raised over $13,000, exceeding their goal of $10,500 for the American Heart Association. They have moved on to a new goal of $15,000. They really did amazing with that, and Mr. McCormick thanked the students and the community at last night's board meeting for their tremendous support.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. And just another note on the school, I know you know this, Tiffany, but I know myself and John and Gina, Maribel and Jen and the chief went into the elementary school today to read books about how I love strawberries. So it was a pleasurable experience. Kids were well engaged, and
Went over
we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah,
And I did change my voice
You
a
changed
couple
your
times.
voice to that, to the girls' journal?
It was fun. So it was actually a good experience. So
Good.
just going to give you that little bit of feedback. Okay, we move forward. ECC, they have not had a meeting yet this year. Their first meeting will be in April. But in the meantime, on some of the work we've done, we've just received another grant for $19,500, I think it's $580, for some species studies in Chautauqua Lake. So the ECC will be organizing that, and we have a time frame. I think it's between now and December to get that done. They'll do most of it in the summer. So that's the second one. You remember we got one last year to look at I forget which, it was one of the species, the frog, one of the frogs, I forget which one, but that one, we actually just got our rebate check back. So this is the second $19,000 award they got. And then my other one, there has been no activity on the Community Development Committee, although we have given out some applications for short-term revolving loans. Okay, we'll move forward to the Events Committee with Councilman Frano.
Okay. I'll do all three?
Yeah, do all three of yours. It saves time that way.
Okay. And the pavilion we'll do separate, right?
Yes.
Okay. First, the ambulance, the month of February, 158 calls. So for a short month, it was pretty busy. Average response time was 7 minutes and 12 seconds. They did, we've said over the past couple of years, any given time for ambulance in town wouldn't be enough. Well, we had that given time about 3 weeks ago. We do get the benefit of, we're paying for 2 ambulances, but being with New Paltz, we're able to tap into the 2 other rigs dedicated to New Paltz. So all 4 ambulances were out on a call within about a 40-minute period, which is highly unusual and something you don't want to see, but it does happen. In that case, then they have to go to 911 and see what other ambulances are available. And again, it's a county problem, and that's not just a Lloyd problem. It's a county problem. It's a state, national problem. There's just shortage of ambulance, EMTs, paramedics, and rigs themselves. So hopefully it was a very rare anomaly, and we don't see that again for a very, very long time or never. On a more positive note, I had a meeting with the CEO or the president of New Paltz Rescue last week. We looked at the data going through right up until last week, and the data shows us so far for the first part of the year, the first 3 months, that the BLS unit, that's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.,
That 7 a.m. to 8:30, 9 o'clock is a very quiet time. Very few calls, and then we see later morning, and then later in the afternoon, it gets busier. So we are adjusting, which in our contract, we're allowed to do that. We said we would do that. April 1st, we're adjusting the BLS time from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And we think, because we just don't want to have an ambulance here sitting, and then when we need them, they've gone and they're off. So it's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the BLS unit. And we also see on the weekends that it's busier. So New Paltz Rescue, through volunteers, are going to extend the hours. So on the weekends, it's going to be 16 hours of coverage for the BLS unit. And they will cover till midnight on the weekends. So, of course, the first thing I asked is, what's the cost to the town? And they said, we got it covered, and we have volunteers that are going to pick up those 4-hour shifts for us. So we're trying to provide the coverage during the periods that's needed. It's not an exact science. The data could change next week, but from what we see so far, that's going to serve us best. They also, the BLS unit, we're seeing it's currently running from Putt Corners Road, and they recognize a need to move that unit closer into town. So they are currently in negotiation with the Highland Fire District to use Station 2 for the BLS unit, or where the new Vance building is on 299, have the unit there. So April 1st, we'll be moving that BLS unit more into the center of Western Lloyd. And the new ambulance will be completed in a week or two, and that will be stationed at Station 1. There'll be a brand new rig, and the second one will be probably about a month after that. So I think that's it for the ambulance. So we'll go to emergency services. We'll go to the fire district, Highland Fire District. They had 28 alarms. Again, last month, a couple of days shorter than normal. So they're about one a day. Average firefighters per call was 11. Highest was 41. Total number of equipment apparatus responses, 56. Firefighter hours for alarms, 351. Firefighter hours for meetings, 44. Firefighter hours for training, 339. And firefighter hours miscellaneous, 45. So last month, the Highland Hose Company, with volunteers, strictly volunteers, gave us 683 man-hours worth of work. So she puts that in the minutes. I'll give that to you. And we're going into the brighter side of things, lighting. Not a good, you get it, Jimmy? All right, okay. Somebody's paying attention. Yesterday, I met with the Central Hudson field engineers. We went out to Windsor Hills Road, showed them the two locations where we're going to put two new streetlights in. The engineers saw no reason why that couldn't be done with the existing poles. So now it's a matter of paperwork. So they assured me they're going to submit the paperwork as quickly as possible, and more than likely around 4 weeks we should have the lighting at those two locations on Windsor Hills Road. We also, I had them come down to the pavilion site also. I figured when I had them, I'd get as much of them as I could, and I'll report on that later. But I also took them up to Hannaford, where Hannaford meets 9W when you come out of the Hannaford driveway, if you will. We've received several complaints, concerns. Lenny has witnessed some people coming south, taking a left-hand turn at night. It's poorly lit, and they're turning into the left lane against, opposing traffic. So we looked at the area. The existing pole on the south side, on that corner, has one light coming out this way. And again, their field engineers thought that they could come off the same pole and cover lighting, put a light in that would cover that, make that intersection a little bit clearer to negotiate at night. And we talked with Dave, we're also going to paint that curb with reflective paint.
Yep.
Because it is, especially for us seniors, in the evening, it's a little tricky to not turn into the wrong lane. So all that work's being done. Brian from Central Hudson sent me a note this afternoon, said paperwork submitted. You'll hear from us as soon as possible. And if that light doesn't work, then we would install a new pole over, by the mobile station side, which obviously, if we don't have to do that, we won't. So either way, we're going to get a new street light up there, and Central Hudson would own all the equipment. We would just pay the electric bill. The events committee. Saturday, we had the Clover Classic at Tony Williams Field. Our supervisor was a participant. Actually, Lenny was the starter. They gave him a gun with no bullets to start it, and Dave participated. He didn't come in the top 100, but he finished.
I wasn't last. I was not last.
He wasn't last, but it was a very good turnout. They had some food vendors there. They had a good crowd. People were around mingling. They weren't there just for the race, so it was a very, very good event. The events committee had a senior luncheon last Friday at the Legion, 130, 140?
Senior committee, not the.
Senior committee, senior events committee, okay. And that was very, very successful. And this coming Saturday is the Easter egg hunt. And what time is that, Martin?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. And then, of course, Spring Fest is scheduled for May 18th, and that, we've been meeting and planning for that event. End of reports.
All right, thank you, John. All right, we move on to Councilman Auchmuty. You have the landing park, the planning board, and the Hudson Valley Rail Trail.
As far as Bob Shepherd Highland Landing, we still don't have the time lock operating properly. That thing has went back and forth to the manufacturer, I can't tell you how many times. The north dock is in, so if somebody wants to launch a boat to go fishing, they'll be capable of that. We have a little problem with the south dock. Somebody over the winter stole the two pipes that go from the bulkhead down to hold the dock in place itself. They've been in basically the same place since they were new, been out every winter, and so this year somebody decided to grab them. So now I somehow have to get back to the manufacturer. I hope I can find everything that was there and try to get them replaced. So I'll be working on that from here henceforth. That's basically about it. There hasn't been anybody striper fishing yet or what may have you. Water's probably still a little too cold. The planning board was pretty slow at the end of last month. There was a public hearing on the applicant is seeking a special use permit, convert a garage into accessory apartment. That was approved. Where's the address? 67 Black Creek Road. They were also seeking a special use permit to create a two-family home above an artist studio. That was approved. The only other two things were short-term rental public hearings. That is at 65 Hawley's Corners Road, that was approved. And 241 Chapel Hill Road, that was also approved. And that was the end of the planning board for the end of last month.
Okay.
Things are gonna pick up this month. The Hudson Valley Rail Trail. Again, as John reported, they had the run Saturday. I would just like to say, last year there were 140 runners. This year there were 161.
231.
231. I'm glad he knew the
That
number.
was about
Well, he was
190
counting them
or
as they were
something.
going by him.
I was in the 190s coming.
Dave was counting them when they went by.
Yeah, when they went by. I wish you would have been there, because there were a dozen state policemen, and they ran with this one little boy. He was the first younger person to get back, and it was just a wonderful sight to see those guys running with him. But again, it was very, very successful. Like you said, there was 2 food trucks. There was a guy making pizza, stone pizza. It was people all over the place, bouncy houses. It was an absolute wonderful event.
Yep.
Anybody that's listening, they have it next year. Plan to attend, please. You don't have to run. You could walk or just go hang out. You can hang out with me. I'll have a gun. So,
I went for the pizza. It's quite good.
so anyway, that's about it for the moment.
Okay, thanks, Lenny. Zoning Board of Appeals, Councilman Guerrero.
Okay, the First Presbyterian Church of Highland over at, right across the street, 2628 Church Street. They're applying for an area variance. They're seeking 8 feet of relief from their rear yard setback. And there's another applicant, John Conti from 225 Martin Avenue, and he's also seeking an area variance for an accessory apartment. He's asking for 860 square feet for the accessory apartment, and it's only, the requirement is 650 square feet for a accessory. So the ZBA sent him to the planning board because it's like new construction, and that's it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to move on to old business. Actually, the Occupancy Open Development is Resolution G, so we'll hit that when we get there. New business. I spoke about this, I think, briefly in the workshop. One of the things the town has noticed this year with, specifically with all the rain, is infiltration and inflow. And what that is, infiltration is when groundwater seeps through old pipes or cracks in old pipes. And what happens is it gets into our sewer lines. And when it gets into our sewer lines, it means we're treating water we shouldn't have to treat because it's normally, storm water or clean water. And what that does is it wastes capacity at our sewage plant. So a couple things, so that's infiltration. Inflow, which we think is even a bigger problem, is when somebody has their storm drain or their sump pump hooked into our sewer line, which is actually illegal. It's in our code, it's illegal, but we have found a few instances of it so far, and we think it's a bit more widespread than maybe it has to be. So a couple actions that we're going to take on it is, first, we're going to put a message out on the inflow piece so that residents are aware that they need to check and make sure they're not hooked into our sewer lines with their stormwater runoff or with their sump pumps from their basement. So we're going to put that out to them. We're going to give them 3 to 4 months to check and correct it, and then we'll test for it. And once we test for it, we'll have no choice but to give out violations at that time, and they'll have to correct them. So we'll get that. I don't think we'll be able to test for it for a good 3 or 4 months in time. On the infiltration piece, We know we have some clay pipes still in the ground that were put in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. A few years, 10 or 12 years back, they lined a lot of the pipes on Vineyard Avenue from Brescia down and down towards the sewage plant, some of the area right around here. We know a couple of our bigger problems are over towards New Paltz Road, North Road, and the section of Hillside and Woodside. So the way to fix that, obviously, is the same thing. You line the pipes. So you get a company comes in, lines the pipes, and you know, and then you move forward. Of course, it's expensive. It's about $50 a foot to line the pipes. And the way they do it is first, of course, we measure flow in certain areas to decide where to attack first. Then we camera the line, because if there's a collapsed or broken line, we have to get it uncollapsed or fix it first before they can reline it. And cameraing's about $5 a foot. So we're starting to put a plan together with Adam, and he'll have some more at the workshop he'll talk about, our water plant superintendent, water and sewer superintendent, and Andy Learn, our town engineer from CPL. In the meantime, we also, as you know, we started a drainage committee a week or so ago with Rich Klotz from the Highway Department and Anthony Giangrasso, our MS4 person, and Dave Barton and Lenny and myself. And a lot of the problems we're seeing there are also collapsed pipes, but a different problem is that many of them go through people's property where we don't have easements, which is going to make it harder to fix. But we determined in that meeting we had a need for a camera, and we were going to rent one and use it. And then as we started talking about this infiltration and inflow problem, and the fact that it's $5 a foot to camera it, we've been researching cameras, and we believe for anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000, we could buy our own camera that both the drainage team and the water and sewer department can use. And the ROI at $5 a foot is about 2,000 feet, and we'll surpass that easily. So it also has a SIM card in it, which we can download and keep it on record as we go forward. So I think at the workshop, we'll have a proposal and a resolution, and we're going out to bid to get a couple bids that they could both use. So I just wanted to alert the board that that's coming forward, that plus the message out that says, if you're hooked up to our sewer pipe, unhook it. So, because that is causing problems. And the reason that's important is we have a certain capacity on our sewage plant, which we're under, but, you know, we charge sewage based on the water usage. So if we're processing excess stuff through the sanitary treatment plant that we don't have to, it's actually a cost to the town. So we're trying to avoid that and fix it. And it's been going on for a long time. It's not a new problem at all, but we look at it and we look at the turn, and we know we're trying to fix a lot of infrastructure. That's one that hits the top of the list. Okay. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that. So that was it for me for new business. I don't know if anybody has questions on that or not. Okay, with that, we'll move forward to privilege of the floor. Anybody here that wants to address the board? Going once? Twice? Okay, no takers tonight. Okay, we'll move forward to motions and resolution. Resolution A, to authorize payment of vouchers as audited by the audit committee. Can you get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, resolution B, this is the authorize the supervisor to request Ulster County Civil Service to approve an MPDS for senior water plant operator, type 1A, to be added to the town of Lloyd positions at the recommendation of Adam Littman, water sewer administrator.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, resolution C is to authorize the supervisor to approve the 2023 audit of the justice courts completed by Town of Lloyd bookkeeper Kendra Menard at the request of Judge Eugene Rizzo.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Okay, resolution E. Okay, and this is seeker for the short-term rental law updates. So whereas the town of Lloyd has introduced local law D of 2023 to revise Chapter 100 of the Town Code entitled Zoning, to revise Section 142.1 to the Town Code entitled Short-Term Transient Rentals. Whereas the New York State Environmental Quality Review requires the Town Board to make a determination on every project that is not a Type 2 action. And whereas the said local law constitute a Type 1 action under seeker, and after reviewing Part 1 and Part 2 of the full assessment form and considering the factors as contained in 6 NYCCR Section 6-17.7, and considering the environmental effects of local law D, a local law to revise the chapter, the short-term rental in the zoning code, the town board of town Lloyd has determined that the adoption of the local law will have no significant impact. Now therefore it's resolved that town board, town of Lloyd, that local law D with short-term rentals as set forth will have no significant environmental impact, and the board hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to Part 16 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Discussion?
Okay.
Could you, is this for the one unit and 2 units?
This is just the seeker. We haven't got to that. That's the next
Okay.
part. So this is just saying we don't have to do seeker.
Let's say.
But we did say seeker.
There was an environmental, EIS prepared, or
Right.
a short form prepared, and there's no significant impact.
No significant environmental impact. Right. It's what we do for every law that we pass on the town board. So this is just for the seeker determination. That's the right way to
Yes,
say it.
it's an unlisted action, so you did a
Right.
full assessment form, was prepared, and based on that, you determined that there's no environmental impact for changing what you're doing is you're gonna revise the STR law.
Correct.
By doing that, you're not creating any environmental impacts.
Right. And as I said, you have to do it for every code change we do in the town. Okay. You want to just do?
Thank you.
Go ahead. Any more discussion? Anything else? Okay. You want to just do a roll call?
Frano,
Yes.
Plopchek,
Yes.
Ogmoody.
Yes.
Guerrero,
No?
Rizzo.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, now Resolution F is actually the resolution to adopt local law D. And this is the one we've had the public hearing open on. And again, this was, the STR is already an existing law. And what we were changing, we started to change 4 or 5 sections of it, and we ended up changing the occupancy limits, the what's considered a sleeping room, and a sign. So it basically ends up being 3 of the 5 changes, and I'll read through the resolution. So resolution to adopt local law D, whereas a local law being proposed as local law D to revise chapter 100 of the town code entitled zoning, to revise the section 100-42.1 of the town code entitled short-term transient rentals, or STR, was introduced on 20th day of December 2023 at 7 p.m. Whereas a public hearing was scheduled for the 17th day of January at 7 p.m., and the town clerk published and posted a notice of said public hearing in accordance with law and circulated pursuant to the Town of Lloyd Code, New York State Municipal Law, New York State General Municipal Law, Town Planning Board, and Ulster County Planning Board, and any other agency for response prior to the public hearing. Whereas the town's planning board is recommending the law be enacted as proposed, and whereas the Ulster County Planning Board provided a response to the town, which recommended that the town reserve to itself the right to cap the number of units issued in the town annually to 2% of the total housing stock to help further reduce the impacts of converting available housing stock into short-term rentals, which said recommendation of the town has complied by revising Section M of the proposed law. And whereas the county further recommended that the language contained in 142C be revised to remove no STR may occur in a vacant parcel and replaced with, to apply for a permit, parcel must contain residential dwelling unit. The 100-42 section C and E provide that multifamily dwellings be prohibited from use as short-term rentals. And whereas the town board feels that limiting usage to single-family and two-family dwellings and prohibiting use of multifamily dwellings and further prohibiting the use of the parcel utilized for commercial and industrial purposes is appropriate and allows for the use of the properties within the town for short-term rentals in a manner consistent with the best interests of the town of Lloyd and its residents. And whereas the Ulster County Planning Board further recommended that the board review recent case and consider alternative qualifications for regulating short-term rentals. And whereas the town board is aware of recent case law and notes that the town law does not restrict the location of the principal residence of a property owner and is of the opinion that the law is enforceable as written. And the Ulster County Planning Board further recommended or reiterated its previous recommendation for an administratively handled annual license process for short-term rentals rather than special permits. And the town board feels that the current process of mandating special permits allows for continued review of short-term rental uses within the town and annual review of the same. And the town board desires to adopt the local law as revised in the form attached. And whereas a public hearing has been held on the 17th day of January at 7 p.m., continued on the 21st day of February 2024, and further continued on the 20th day of March at 7 p.m., at which time all interested persons were given an opportunity to be heard thereon, and after which public hearing was closed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Local Law D 2023 be enacted into the form hereto of Schedule A as set forth as a local law to revise Chapter 100 of the Town Code entitled Zoning to revise Section 100-42.1 of the Town Code entitled Short-Term Transient Rentals. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion. So we're going to eliminate multifamily dwellings,
With more than 2 units.
more than 2 units?
Yeah, so if you have a 2-family, you're good. That was always been the case. We've always allowed 2 families.
All right, but I know we were moving towards multi-dwelling, 3 to,
Right, and we're taking
3
that
and
out.
up.
Taking that out, yeah.
All right.
And that's out.
That's out, yeah.
That's out.
That's out, and we're also going to take the recommendation to cap it at 2%, which would put us somewhere right around 95 to 100, depending on the housing stock on any given month or day. Right now, we have 20,
Right.
24.
By us eliminating the 3 and up multi-dwellings, okay?
Well, we're not eliminating, we don't have them today.
We're not going to move forward with that.
Right.
So there's a state law that says that it's prohibited, that
Says what's prohibited.
multi-dwellings, STRs,
Okay,
you know.
we're not doing it
We're
anyway,
not
so
doing
what
that.
relevance
Okay.
is it?
All right.
And, are you done? Are you
Yeah,
done?
I'm done.
And we better, again, the law is on the books 2022, right, when we
We
voted
put it in
in.
2022, right?
And this, some of the restriction, like the occupancy, we've kind of tightened up
Tighten that up.
the control on it.
Like how, two people to a bedroom, is that?
Yeah, and how many bedrooms and what constitutes a bedroom. So if you have a walk-in closet, you can't count and say, oh, that's a bedroom, 2 more people. So if anything,
So
I
you're
think
making it a little
what
bit
we've done
stricter.
kind of puts tighter
Well,
control.
it took care of some of the loopholes that we didn't have in the original law. That's what it did.
Yeah.
All right. And we floated the multifamily because we had a couple requests, and I think we're all agreeing as a board that that's not needed.
Yeah.
So, any other discussion? Lenny, Tiffany?
No, I'm glad that the multifamily didn't go through.
Okay, so basically, the 2 recommendations from the county, we did accept, the 2% and the no multifamilies, so good. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll do roll call. Maribel?
Frena,
Yes?
Plapcheck,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Rizzo.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
And with that,
Okay, yes, you have to recuse
I must
yourself.
recuse myself. We're related.
No point to me, I'm not related to you.
You should be so lucky.
And some of the resolutions after G, we have to relabel. It goes G and G, so it's got to go G to H.
And Maribel, please make sure that Lenny's recusal
Yep.
is written in the minutes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so Resolution G, and I know Dave Barton brought this forward to us at the workshop this month. So Resolution G, whereas Leonard J. Auchmuty, 500 Crescent Avenue, Highland, New York, is the owner of 3 parcels of land located off of Mountain View Lane in the town of Lloyd. Said parcels being described on the tax rolls as SBLs, and you can read the numbers there. First one has 3.6 acres, second one has 4.6 acres, and the third has 36.9 acres, more or less. And whereas the said parcels are accessed off of Mountain View Lane by way of right-of-way or easement. And whereas Leonard J. Auchmuty has requested that the town establish an open development area pursuant to New York State Town Law, Section 280A, where permits may be issued for the erection of structures to which access is given by right-of-way or easement. And pursuant to the town law, the town board, before establishing any such open development area, must refer the matter to the planning board for its advice. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby refers the request of Leonard J. Auchmuty for the establishment of an open development area, including the 3 lots numbered here, is hereby referred to the Town of Lloyd Planning Board and directs the Town Planning Board to provide its input and advice on such requests and provide the same prior to the Town Board's next regular scheduled meeting for April 17, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Discussion. I called Dave Barton earlier today because I looked at the map, and to me, it appeared to be 2 flag lots. You know, do you have a map there? I have the map here.
Yeah.
But, so since it's open development, he said it's not taken under consideration.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
if he was to, I just want to go through this
Yeah.
so we all.
Okay, go ahead.
We all understand this. And if he was to develop further, to expand that, he'd have to put a town roads, a road that's specifications to meet the town requirements. Am I correct?
Well, even the specifications for the private road have to meet the town requirements.
Oh, they do have to.
Well, there's 2 sets of requirements for road. One is town road traveled by, maintained by road, and another is called rural requirements for for private roads. So he has to meet the second one, which is the rural requirements.
Okay. But if he was to expand that,
I don't know, that the planning board would have to determine that. What he has to do now is, it currently calls for a town road on his maps. He's got to go to the planning board, and they would change it to the rural road specification.
Okay.
And with all the right-of-ways and easements. Hey, you're here, you want to say something, Ricky?
Yeah, it's gonna still be built to town specs.
Okay.
So I'm not changing it.
No, I'm just asking.
If I ever wanna, I wanna make it a gated community for like my family, so I wanna be able to put up gates. I have heavy equipment to plow the road and everything, so.
Yeah, the reason why I brought up the flag lot was because there's something right now going on in the ZBA. And you know, it's a little just basically a little different.
This is an approved road.
Right, okay.
Yeah, there's,
Lots are all approved.
and I think that,
Taxes on it.
and I think the 2, the one in front of the ZBA has to rule on, and it's a totally different situation than this. A very different situation.
Right, it is, but
Yeah,
because of the
because
flag lot.
it's 2
I just
lots
want to make sure
on
that
a
I.
minor subdivision, which
that I
is allowed in
understand
our
that.
code. All right. Okay,
Good point.
all right. Anybody else, any other discussion?
No?
Okay, Maribel, you want to take a roll call again, please?
Frano,
Yes?
Plabcheck,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes,
Rizzo. Yes.
Okay, motion carried. So this will go to the planning board, get referred to the planning board. Lenny, welcome back, Lenny.
All right, have a good evening.
Good night,
Thank you,
Rick.
Ricky.
Oh, you want to stay for the rest?
Okay, the next resolution becomes Resolution H. And this is for the town field pavilion. As you all know, the pavilion was constructed and the structure finished in early January. And it's a nice-looking pavilion, if you haven't seen it, down at the town field. Now we're getting ready to put electricity in it. So we're gonna run electric from the town parking lot to the pavilion. And we're gonna lay the conduit ourselves, since we're digging out in the parking lot anyway to put the sewer and water lines in at some point. So we're also gonna do the conduit while we're there. So we've gotten some quotes, as you can see on the next page. So the resolution reads, whereas the town of Lloyd has received quotes for 320 feet of 3-inch Schedule 80 PVC conduit and fittings for the electrical work at the Lewis DeSazy Pavilion at the town field. And whereas the lowest supplier, Eastern, can't guarantee the price or availability of the product, therefore the town will purchase 320 foot of 3-inch Schedule 80 PVC conduit and findings from HC Supply in Poughkeepsie at a cost of $22,1747, which was the second lowest bidder. Project is in stock, and the price will hold for 10 days, which is March 26, and the cost includes delivery to the job site. So can I get a motion?
Motion?
A second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay, you can order your pipe, John.
I'll give it in my pavilion.
Okay, now, Resolution H, also dealing with the pavilion, and this is just finalizing the intermunicipal agreement for the grant we received from Ulster County ARPA of $100,000. So the resolution is to authorize the supervisor to sign the ARPA intermunicipal agreement with the County of Ulster for ARPA Parks $100,000 for the Lewis DeSacy Pavilion improvement to the village field. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, I'll sign that tomorrow so we can put in for the rebate. Resolution J is a resolution to accept the resignation of Anthony Weed, part-time police officer, effective March 18th, 2024, at the recommendation of Chief Jim Janso. Probably needs to be added on there. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, and then Resolution K, this is what John talked about before, is to authorize the supervisor and council member to request to have Central Hudson install an additional street light at the 9W entrance into Argent Drive. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carried. It's the end of the resolutions. I'll give one more opportunity for privilege to the floor if anybody wants to speak. If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute,
Oh.
your pavilion. You want a pavilion? Pavilion?
What about it? We ordered all your parts. What else you got? Go ahead.
No report. I want to go home too.
David,
Okay.
you want to go to a brief
We have-
executive session?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
On
so,
the,
go ahead.
one of our local electricians that I've been kind of picking his brain a little bit on this pavilion, called me last week and he said, you know, if we could get Central Hudson to agree to allow us to run a primary, we would save significant amount of money in materials. So when I had Central Hudson here yesterday for other business, we had them look at I had them look at the transformer. There's one blank plug in the existing transformer, which kind of indicates there should be room to run a primary. So even though we voted on this conduit tonight, if anything, it will be less, because once Central Hudson confirms and said you can run a primary, we'll reduce the size of the PVC, so it will be less than the 2,200. And also the wire, it'll only be a single strand wire, which is significantly less. So we hopefully will be saving a pretty good amount of money on the electrical piece. And the other piece will be, as Adam gets me the information, I'll get it to you guys. We had Patty Brooks out there again to shoot the grades for the elevations, because solids flow downhill. And we're very concerned about the pitch that we would have. And we determined today, when we had a meeting, we had Richie Klotz and the Highway Department out there, the Water Department, Patty's. It's just too close of a tolerance that we're afraid we're gonna have blockages. And we don't wanna, we wanna do it right. So we agreed today to put in a pump, they call it a low-pressure pump, at the pavilion that will compensate for that poor pitch. We were trying to avoid that, but unfortunately, those pumps are about 15,000. But Adam was going to go out, look at pricing. Once he has it, I will email the information to you guys, but we're gonna have to go that way. So we'll save a little on the electric, but we're gonna have to spend a little more on the
Yeah,
sewer.
and I think with the electric, the objective is to have it in before Spring Fest.
Right, we're
Which is in
hoping to
May.
be able to have vendors plug in for Springfest.
into
That's our
power.
goal.
And then the second piece of it, when we're putting the water and sewer lines is to have the 6 bathrooms done by the fall.
Right.
So we'll have the pavilion pretty well done, then we can get Tiffany's beautification committee to do some plantings or make it look nice around there. So that's kind of the schedule we're on right now.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
we hope
beautiful
to bid that
pavilion and,
July.
we hope to have more events in the town center where we get people attracted to the center of town, which was the initial objective of it, so. So thanks, Joe, for all the work. I know you've done a lot of work on it, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, what the reason for the executive?
We haven't gone there yet, but yeah, we're gonna adjourn to executive session at 7:55 to discuss a litigation that we've been discussing. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so can I get a motion to move to executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, with that, the regular meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for
Thank you, Scouts.
attending, and
Thank you.
great seeing the
Thanks,
scouts
Thank
again.
Congratulations.
We're here every month. Come back, join us anytime you like.
Thanks for all your efforts for the city.